Morning arrives gently on the island of Aruba. Light moves slowly across the shoreline. Waves roll in with a soft, repeating rhythm, touching the sand and pulling away again. Palm trees shift only slightly in the warm air. The landscape feels open, unhurried, and unchanged by the passing of time. From a distance, the island seems almost suspended between sea and sky, a place shaped by sunlight and breeze. Quiet neighborhoods rest behind narrow roads. Resorts stand along the beaches, their windows reflecting the brightness of the day. It is here, within this calm environment, that one of the most enduring modern mysteries took shape. A story that begins on an ordinary night. A story that has continued quietly in the years since, held in memory, in unanswered questions, and in the stillness of the landscape itself. In late May of 2005, visitors arrived on Aruba from many places. Among them was a group of recent high school graduates from Alabama, traveling to celebrate the end of their school year. They stayed at a hotel near the beach, where the days were warm and the nights vibrant with music and movement. One of those travelers was Natalee Holloway, 18 years old, preparing for college, described by those who knew her as optimistic, curious, and responsible. For most of the trip, the group followed a simple routine: time at the beach, meals together, evenings spent visiting nearby restaurants and gathering spots. There was nothing unusual recorded, nothing that separated one day from another. But on the final night of the trip, after leaving a local bar and tourist venue, Natalee did not return to the hotel with her classmates. By the next morning, her absence would become clear, and the landscape that felt calm and familiar would take on a different, quieter weight. What is known about Natalee's final hours comes from confirmed sightings, statements, and the recollection of those who were present. On the evening of May 29th, she went with friends to a popular gathering place for visitors. She was seen leaving with 3 young men. A car drove away into the warm night. These moments are documented. The times are approximate. The events are limited to what others remember. Her classmates returned to the hotel later that night. Some believe she would follow shortly. Others assumed she had already come back. In the morning, her room was empty. Her bed had not been slept in. Her belongings were still there. A search began quietly at first, within the hotel hallways, the nearby beach, and the surrounding paths. As hours passed, concern deepened. When it became clear that she was not on the property, authorities on the island were notified. From this point forward, the timeline grows wider, shaped by attempts to understand what happened, built from interviews, observations, and searches across land and water. But the final steps of Natalee's known movements remain limited to those brief nighttime moments. Moments that left behind no clear trail and no confirmed sequence of events beyond that point. In the days that followed, the island shifted into a different rhythm. Search efforts expanded. Groups walked along beaches, through fields, and into sparsely populated areas. Boats moved slowly along the coastline. Helicopters traced quiet paths over the water. Several people were questioned. Some were detained and released. Accounts were given, changed, or clarified over time, but none led to answers that could be verified fully. Throughout the investigation, many potential leads surfaced. Some were based on sightings, others on statements made by individuals involved in the final known hours of the night. Yet each turning point arrived quietly, and often faded just as quietly. What seemed promising early on dissolved into uncertainty. What appeared definitive proved incomplete. The searches continued for weeks, then for months, and in various forms for years. But no confirmed trace of Natalee was found. No object linked to her presence, no evidence that explained where she went or what happened after she left the hotel area. Among all the effort, the key discovery became not an object or a location, but the absence of both, a silence that remained even as questions multiplied. Across the entire investigation, confirmed physical evidence tied directly to Natalee's disappearance has remained minimal. Her personal belongings were exactly where she left them in the hotel room. Her passport, her clothing, her suitcase. Nothing to suggest sudden departure, nothing to indicate preparation to leave the island on her own. Search teams examined many areas: beaches, marshes, desert patches, scrubland, and coastal zones. Items were found occasionally, objects from unrelated activities, common debris, or items without connection to her. None were confirmed as evidence. The story of this case is therefore shaped less by physical clues and more by the quiet spaces where clues were expected but never appeared. It is a story defined by absence, by the things not found, by the distance between the last known moment and everything that followed. Over time, many theories have emerged, some based on interviews, others arising from speculation or shifts in testimony. Some believe the last individual seen with Natalee may have more information than has been shared. It is possible, they say, that events after she entered the car were different from what was described. Others suggest she may have encountered an accident in unfamiliar surroundings, far from the hotel. The island contains areas where night visibility is limited, where paths lead into quiet stretches of land not often traveled by visitors. There are theories involving the sea. Aruba's coastline includes calm areas, but also currents and deep water close to shore. Some suggest the possibility of an accident near the water, unnoticed in the darkness. Still others examine the changing statements from individuals involved in the case, noting contradictions and unanswered questions. But contradictions alone do not point to certainty. They simply reflect the complexity of memory and the pressure surrounding a highly public investigation. There are also those who believe the truth may lie in a combination of events, small decisions, misunderstandings, or moments that unfolded quickly and quietly. But no theory has been proven. No version of events has been confirmed fully. The case remains unresolved, not because of lack of effort, but because the key moments occurred out of sight, leaving behind only fragments and silence. Today, Aruba continues much as it always has. The water moves in gentle patterns. Beachgoers walk along the shore. Palm trees sway in the same warm wind that passed through on the night Natalee disappeared. The hotel remains. Streets and walkways remain. But the story has become part of the island's quieter history, woven into its spaces in a way not immediately visible to visitors. For many, the name Natalee Holloway brings a sense of memory shaped by distance and unanswered questions. The landscape itself gives no hint of what happened. It carries no signposts or markers, only the same calm environment that surrounded her final known hours. Time has moved steadily, years have passed, and the unanswered parts of the story rest now in a place beyond certainty, within quiet recollection rather than conclusion. The disappearance of Natalee Holloway remains one of the most quietly enduring mysteries of recent history. A young woman on a celebratory trip, ordinary movements on an ordinary night, and then a gap in the timeline that has never been filled. There is no confirmed sequence of events after she left the gathering place, no final location, no physical evidence that gives shape to the missing hours. The story rests in the stillness left behind, in the spaces between testimony and memory, in the landscape that continues unchanged. Some mysteries remain because answers hide behind complexity. Others remain because the final moments passed unobserved, leaving no imprint beyond the concern of those who searched for them. Natalee's story is one that lingers quietly, not concluded, not forgotten, held in the distance between fact and uncertainty, where time moves forward but the questions remain. And in that quiet space, the story continues, not with resolution but with remembrance,